Thank you so much, Darren, for joining me for our first 5 questions with. We've done a little bit of work with you in the past and know that you have a lot of wisdom and a lot of experience that you can share. So what we want to do in these first 5 questions is find out a little bit about you and also get some top tips for people who might be searching for a role in this market.
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Perfect. So first of all, can you tell us a little bit about your finance background and what your most recent position was?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've pretty much worked every job in finance across probably 8 or 9 countries, from France, USA, Norway, Middle East. My most recent roles have been CFO for renewable energy companies, both in investment and operations. And currently I'm in Bergen in Norway, which is very wet and very cold.
Beautiful, beautiful. So looking back on the roles that you have done in the past, what's been the most challenging yet rewarding aspect of your career to date?
Yeah, there's been a few, but probably the one that jumps out, I was in my mid to late 20s working for an oil company back in the UK. I'd been in the job for 3 weeks. My boss at the time, unfortunately, was in a huge traffic accident in the US, which meant he was out of work for probably 12 to 18 months. We found out quite quickly, quite serious. The director at the time pulled me in on the Monday morning and said, Darren, we want you to do this guy's job. And I was panicking. I was young. I didn't have the experience, nerves that I wouldn't be able to do it. And he said, listen, just try it. Just do it. And if it works, great. And it did work. It worked out very well for me. It propelled my career. But one of the things it gave me was that belief just to push yourself a bit further. I always had a hard work ethic, but that was completely outside my comfort zone and just pushing me to do, something I'd never done before and control a much bigger job.
Yeah, fantastic. I think sometimes getting pushed into something outside of your comfort zone is the best thing that can ever happen to you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So you've worked in some really interesting countries. What would you say are your top 3 tips for managing multicultural teams?
Yeah, this is a tough one because you've so many different cultures, there's so many different things to do. I think the first one is just be yourself, have fun, adapt to the cultures, but don't change who you are. Don't expect the other people to change who they are either. And just care about the people you manage, get to know them individually, because ultimately you were one of them one day. So just treat them like you would treat yourself. I think that's my main tip.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Sorry.
Yeah, secondly, I would say just make the effort to understand the different cultures. They're very different from the UK, for example. A lot of the people based in the UK we're talking to, and learn some of the language. This always helps. Middle East, where I was, it was such a crossroads of cultures and nationalities that I learned so many positive aspects about life, both in and out of work, and that's actually improved me as a person. So I think just embracing the cultures really helps.
Yeah, brilliant.
And then the last one, learn the holidays. There's so many different holidays. The obvious one's Christmas, New Year, but then you have Ramadan, Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, Chinese New Year. There's so many of them going along, and don't expect people to work holidays that you wouldn't work yourself. And I think you just have to be mindful when you have such a diverse team that these things are going to pop up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the little nuances that you have to know to be caring and be empathetic to these people and to get them to perform the best that they can.
Absolutely, because I think if people, you realise that people have a life outside work, and if they're happy in that, they'll be happy in their work as well, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. What's been the best piece of career advice that you've ever been given?
Yeah, I've had some good ones, some bad ones. I think the best one I had was, when everything's moving too fast, just stop and stand still. Whether that's in your life or in your work, no matter how much pressure you have to meet a deadline, and, often in finance, you have that pressure quite a lot. It's just remember that it's life, and just stop and take a look and think, right, okay, what needs to be done? And quite often that can help. Just taking a moment to remove yourself from that stressful situation, which can be difficult at times, but just stopping.
Composing yourself and calming those thoughts so that you're ready to make a sensible next decision. Yeah, brilliant. Final question for you. As a CFO, what advice would you give to people looking for a new role, particularly in this market?
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very difficult to stand out in this market right now. I think the advice, people spend a lot of time, and I used to do it myself, like honing your CV and getting your CV just right or the right format. you know, and the reality is, if you apply on a platform like LinkedIn or something, you may be one of 3,000 CVs, and, you know, as good as your CV might be, as good as your experience and personality, you just don't get seen.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would use LinkedIn to connect with people, connect with the right people. You know, there's hundreds of jobs out there, but also, you know, the obvious one is using a proper recruitment agency. And, you know, they will get you noticed, they get to know you. You know, and if you're applying directly yourself on LinkedIn, then follow up with a phone call. It makes a big difference, because you may be the candidate for the job, but if you don't highlight yourself, you may get mixed in a mountain of CVs, particularly at this moment in time when there's a lot of jobs out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the advice that I give to anyone that I talk to as well, is if you are applying directly, follow it up, make yourself stand out. Yeah, fantastic. Darren, that was absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us all. I really, really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope it's useful, and for people looking for jobs just now, best of luck, because it is a tough time, but, you know, the right job will come along.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.